Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Moxie Coaching Podcast. My name is Michelle, and I'll be your host as we explore what coaching is and how it can help you create your best life. If you're anything like me, it's important to you to give back in some way. Maybe it's volunteering in the soup kitchen. Maybe it's donating $1 million to environmental research. It doesn't really matter. I started coaching and podcasting because I'm just one person who can only do so much alone. And I realized that through coaching and through podcasting, I could help and support those of you who want to do good works and exponentially increase the amount of good that I'm able to do. So if this sounds like you, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Be well. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Moxie Coaching Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it, and I do hope that you are working along with me and learning how to read the tarot for yourself as you go through these podcasts that are based on the tarot. Not too many announcements today, actually just one. That I think last week I announced that I was going to be doing tarot readings again on a temporary basis, but I am enjoying it so much that I think I'm probably just going to leave that on the table for whomever. So if you are interested in having a reading done by me, or if you're interested in working with me to answer some questions about self-coaching with the tarot and all of that, just know that I'm here as a resource, and you can find all of the information about how to reach me on the website at moxiecoaching.com. This week we are talking about the twos of the tarot. And the twos are all about balance and relationship and cooperation. They're about duality, about choice or having to make a choice. They're all, the dark and the light, the yin, the yang, the strong, the weak, that whole paradigm. So what does that mean in the context of reading the cards in reality, right? I think we'll start with the swords today. If you remember from previous episodes, the swords are all about ideas, concepts, thoughts, theory. Remember that the archetype for the King of Swords, in my mind, is Dr. Spock or Sheldon Cooper, that very analytical energy. And so how does that analytical energy, that idea-based, thought-based energy, tie in with the numerology of the twos? And what happens when they meet and make a baby and make a little tarot card called the Two of Swords? The card itself, imagery-wise, is a woman sitting on a bench in front of a body of water that has some land masses behind it or in it. The crescent moon is in the sky, and she's blindfolded, and she's holding two very, very heavy looking swords so she has her arms crossed over her body, and she's holding the swords upright. This card represents someone or a situation in which a difficult decision is being made. So you've got the idea, this is swords, so this is about a decision. This isn't about anything in the physical world. This is about something mental or thought-based. It's also about not being able to really see clearly what your options are. The blindfold is a good indication of that. So this person in the card is in this place of indecision, and they need to decide, and they aren't sure which way to go. and they're not clear on how to find the answer. A lot of times this will come up around a situation where a decision needs to be made and there aren't really any good decisions that you can make. There's no way forward. You just have to choose between two crappy options. So this is a heavy card. So what does that mean in terms of questions that would be appropriate for you to ask when this card comes up? One of the first questions I would ask myself is, what decision is before me? Become very, very clear on what it is that this card is trying to help you decide between. Sometimes we have decisions to make or choices, things that linger in the back of our heads or in the back of our subconscious, and we're not always really clear on what exactly our options are. And sometimes we're not even really clear that we need to be making a decision. So if this card comes up for you, kind of explore that a little bit. What is it that I need to be deciding on? What are the unknown factors? How can I see what this blindfolded woman cannot see so I can make a better decision? What can I do to gain clarity around the situation? And you also might want to ask, is there something that I am not seeing that's related to this situation? If this card comes up and you're feeling like everything in your life, or not everything in your life, everything as related to the rest of the reading is in pretty good shape, this card is going to be a kind of a, maybe a little bit of a Debbie Downer, in that it's going to be telling you, hey, even if you're not aware of it, something is lurking out there that you're going to have to be addressing. So the questions that you're going to be asking are all about trying to identify, what it is that you're going to need to make a choice between. How many options are there on the pro and con side? Looking at this from an analytical perspective and asking those analytical questions of yourself when this card comes up. And remember that the woman in this card is clearly very strong. She is holding these two swords in an awkward position with what looks like a lot of ease. And swords can be very strong. They can be very strong personality. They can be very strong energy. So while it may throw you to see this card and, when you're trying to figure out why it's there, remember that while it's telling you, hey, you're going to have to make a choice, there's something in here maybe that's not feeling real right, it's also reminding you that you're strong and that if you take the time to look inside, you will be able to find the answer. All right. How about the Two of Pentacles? So brief review of the Pentacles. They're about material things. They're about physical objects. They're about money, work, business. They're about health. Basically things that you can touch and see primarily. Or they're related to things that you can purchase that you can touch and see. This card shows a man basically juggling two pentacles between or in the circle ends of an infinity sign. So they're suggesting that it's this constant need to juggle and manage material things or financial things and that type of thing. Behind this guy, there are kind of roiled waters and two ships. And a lot of people will tell you that their belief is those ships represent business or finance or something along those lines, but sort of because the water is so roiled, not the most smooth running business or financial situation. So the card itself, when it comes up in a reading, is about balance. Balance in all of those things that we talked about as related to the Pentacles. So balance in life's practical things. Balance in work and play. Balance in eating well and eating an ice cream cone. Balance in managing your resources. Basically all of the things that are practical and that we have to manage to sort of for things to flow easily for us, I guess is what I want to say. The card often indicates multiple responsibilities, multiple tasks, basically multiple things that they have to juggle and keep moving. Multiple responsibilities, multiple possibilities as well. It may indicate someone who has the ability to manage multiple responsibilities and multiple tasks simultaneously. It could also be about trying to maintain balance and avoid those choppy waters that are behind him. So, every once in a while we get into those places in our life where it's just like we're trying to keep it together, and we're juggling work and we're juggling family and the kids are sick and this is going on over here and that's going on over there. And sometimes it can be a card that's just indicating some overwhelm, and God forbid should you drop one of those pentacles, what's going to happen if you drop one of those pentacles type of feeling. So what kind of questions should you be asking when the card comes up in a reading? First and foremost, if you don't already know, you should be asking yourself, why is this card coming up? What is it that I need to be balancing? Or is there something that I've been wanting to add to my current load that I'm worrying about a little bit? Do I have the capacity and the bandwidth to take on one more thing? Is it going to put me over and disable my ability to keep those pentacles juggling and moving around? Could also be asking you to take a look at your workload or your whatever it's related to load, and ask you if you are available to take on more. It could be it could be coming up around a new project. Somebody wants you to do something different. Somebody wants you to take on an extra project at work or a volunteer position or something. And this card could be coming up to remind you to ask yourself, am I truly available to take on one more thing, one more responsibility? Or is it in my best interest and in the best interest of everyone else that I don't take this on? Because learning how to set boundaries is important. And the better we are able to know ourselves and the better we're able to get those little insights like this from the cards, the better we're able to kind of manage everything. You also might want to ask yourself, hey, am I dropping the ball somewhere? Maybe there is an area where you're supposed to be balancing and you're supposed to be juggling, and this card is coming up and saying, hey, you need to look over here because the ball's about to hit the ground type of situation. But in terms of the balance and in terms of the suit itself, I think it's a little bit tricky sometimes because we see pentacles and we automatically assume that it's money oriented or financial. Keep in mind that this could be about balancing your health. It could be about saying, no, I do not have the bandwidth to take on this extra project right now. Nope, I'm sorry. I can't take your child for the weekend. Why not? Because I'm overwhelmed and I can't, and that's okay. So don't just assume that this is a financially based card. Remember, it can be related to your health. It can be related to physical things and material things as well. All right, Two of Wands. So, as we remember, wands are all about action. They are about fire and movement and frenetic energy. So, how does that relate to this Two of Wands when twos are about balance and equanimity and all of those things? Well, the traditional meaning of this card is about balance in your career, balance in work, moving a project forward in the way that you wanted it to go, having these big ambitions. So when you look at the cards, you'll notice that it's a wealthy looking man standing somewhere up high. Looks like maybe on a castle wall or something like that. And he's standing between two wands and he's holding the globe in his hand. So it's sort of like this literal, you've got the world in the palm of your hand. What are you going to do with it? Type of energy. How are you going to use this energy to your advantage? If you have big ambitions, you love seeing this card. This card is telling you that you are on the right track. You just keep going, you keep marching that project forward, and you're going to be successful. It could also be sort of letting you know, giving you a gentle nudge, like the tarot does, that maybe you're missing a little bit of adventure in your life right now. Maybe you need some adventure or some action or some experiences in your life. And that's why, you're standing there looking out into the vast expanse with the world in your hand because you're just craving a juicy life experience. So when it comes to asking questions, how does this all relate? Question number 1. What are your ambitions? Do you have any great big ambitions? If so, what are they? Articulate them, really, really get clear on them so I can begin to manifest it. You could also ask, how would you like this situation, whatever the situation is around this you're reading, how would you like to see that played out? You've got the world in your hands. How do you want to see it go? Are you subconsciously craving adventure or experiences? And if so, what does that mean to you? Does that mean jumping on SpaceX and heading to the moon? Or does that mean whitewater rafting? Or does that mean going to the craft store and getting like your dream project goodies? We all have different things that that call us, that we consider adventures, right? So what are your adventures? What types of adventures do you want to have? Where in life are things going well? And think about that. This card has a lot of good energy. What is it asking you to recognize something positive in your life? Some project that you have that's available that you could pick up and move forward and make into something of your own. Also, you might want to ask yourself, am I placing an appropriate amount of importance on an issue? Am I putting too much importance on this issue? Is it, this looks like such an important, serious card. Is it really that important, or am I just making it a little bit bigger deal than it really, really is? And again, remember that these questions that I'm providing you are just the tip of the iceberg. I am providing you with some basic questions that you can use to start your list off, and then ideally, you will develop your own list of questions. And ideally, as you continue your tarot journey, you will develop sort of your own language of the tarot. And you probably will always use the questions just because sometimes we do. Even I've been reading for years, and every once in a while I get stuck on something and I think, okay, let's go back to basics. Let's figure out why this card is coming up in this situation, as related to X, Y, or Z, and putting it into context and coming back to asking myself questions almost always provides insight that I wouldn't have normally had. So yeah, this is, these podcasts are a wonderful starting point, but please just remember that your brain is going to take you so much further than what I'm putting here in front of you. Okay, last one is the Two of Cups. And the Two of Cups image is of a man and a woman, and the man is reaching his hand out to the woman. They're both holding chalices. They're facing each other, and between them is a caduceus with a lion's head, a winged lion's head. So cups, two people. This card reminds me, makes me think of the love card. And it can be about love because cups are all about emotions, but it could also be about partnership. Words that come up like harmony, cooperation, compatibility, not love, romance, but cooperation, compatibility, this concept of the strength of working together, the strength of a good, solid working relationship. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not romantic, okay? So this card could come up around a relationship that you have with someone that is just kind of meant to be. And I'm not saying like a romantic relationship where, you have this a soulmate type of situation. This card, excuse me, this card comes up for me frequently in relationship to a particular person with whom I have a very interesting relationship. And intuitives have told me that I have lived at least 4 or more past lives with this person in some situation, right? So this card comes up for me a lot around that type of situation. So think of it that way, right? Think of it could be coming up in relationship to someone who's passed on. It could be in relationship to someone that's currently in your life, and it could also just be simply sort of this concept of being in relationship with yourself. This sense of knowing who you are and this feeling of positivity and goodness towards yourself, for goodness sakes. I think a lot of us forget to do that. It can also, like I said, not necessarily love, but it could be love. It could be in relationship to a partner. It could be in relationship to a best friend. It's really not about the label of the relationship, and it's not really even about the nature of the relationship. It's more about how the interactions work and how the two people in that relationship interact together. So what would be appropriate questions to ask? Well, first of all, definitely consider the nature of the reading. Is this a reading where you're looking for some insight into a relationship with someone? Is this a reading where you're looking for some insight into a career move? It really is going to be important to have that context if this card comes up, because you don't want to be jumping to the assumption that, this is coming up around work and, you're going to have love at work. Nope, that's not really what this is about. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that your concept of the card, the questions that you ask yourself of the card should be related or should have some connection to the purpose of the reading. So for example, this card comes up in a work reading. This could be your relationship with your boss. This could be your work husband or your work wife. It could be a new opportunity coming your way. So like I said, you really have to got to look at it, because alternatively, if this comes up in a romantic relationship or an interpersonal relationship, then it's the way you're looking at it is going to be different. That's my whole point. So, who are you in a partnership with? Who is this card about? Is this card about someone related to work? Is this card about someone related to a romantic relationship? What's the context? What is the state of that relationship as you best understand it? You have a relationship with someone. This is coming up because you and this person have been working on a project together, and it's like you have one brain and you have just meshed and you are grooving. It is going and it is amazing. Or it could be coming up, it's like, I don't know if I should be working with this person. This card is asking me to take a look at, how do I feel about so-and-so? Is this a good partnership? Is this a good relationship to launch into? It may also be asking you if it's time to resolve a difficult interpersonal situation. Maybe there's some baggage from something in the past that it would benefit you to look at and let go. This card could be a reminder of that, and the other person in the card could clearly be someone else in your life with whom you've had some challenges. The last question I have on this one is, how could you work with this other person, or with yourself, if it is yourself, toward a common harmonious goal? What is it that needs to be put into place so this relationship is beneficial and prosperous for everyone involved? So those are the twos. Next week we will move on to the threes. And remember, if you want a copy of the Reading the Minor Arcana cheat sheet that is available on the Moxie website, I think it's under the More tab, and then probably Tarot or free resources, I think is where it is. So that's there, along with all kinds of other little goodies for you. All right, I think that's it. Yeah, I think so. So you have a fantastic week, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Be well.